All right, well, good evening, everybody. As I'm recording this, my assumption is that most of you are on spring break. So if you're someplace warm, exciting, congratulations. If you're here at home, just listening to my lecture, I apologize. So understand that you guys have a lot going on right now. All the discussions, 15 of the 16 are in. That's fantastic. I'll be grading those this week. Wanted to get you tonight's lecture real fast on chapters 2 and 3. And again, these lectures, I'm going to do my best just to skim over things, okay? The book really has some great information. I don't want to sit here and regurgitate to you guys, but I do want to highlight certain things and different elements of the chapters on why they are important. So with that being said, chapter 2, we're talking about developing your marketing plan. This is fantastic for you guys to get at an early stage. Again, our hope is as you graduate with a degree, that you will be able to work your way into a director of sales position. And once you're in a director of sales position, you will have to put not only a marketing plan together, but a sales plan as well. So these next two chapters are phenomenal in how you will lay out the strategies for your office and also what your office looks like. Chapter 3 goes into great detail about kind of how you would staff a sales office, what the roles are of each individual, whereas developing your marketing plan is going to talk about marketing and sales and how we differentiate the two. So, and that's going to jump in right away. So when we talk about marketing and sales, a lot of times I'll refer to marketing as more of the strategic side of things, bringing awareness, calling to action, where the sales side is more of the action itself, right? It's getting someone to make a decision. It's more short-term, more transactional in some ways. And it focuses more on an end result, whereas marketing, you're looking at more educating your client on, again, what it is you guys are selling, making sure the pertinent details are there, exciting them into decisions. And then obviously that strategy typically is long-term, not just today, tomorrow, but 1 year, 2 years, if not 3 years out. So there's kind of your difference between sales and marketing. I always felt the sales side was more action-oriented. We're actually getting a decision, where marketing is kind of painting the picture, if you will. So obviously, both are incredibly important. The book's going to talk about the 4 Ps: product placement, promotion, and price when it comes to your marketing mix. That's something you guys definitely want to understand as you're going through this chapter. Again, we talked about on the marketing plan side, long-term, right? Not looking at just trying to sell tomorrow. We're looking at the end of the year. We're looking at next year. What are the different things we have to know that are going to be in place for us to succeed in the long term? Again, we all hope that we're going to be here for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, not weeks. So again, I'm going to step on ourselves. Sorry, I'm going to back up just a little bit. Again, I cannot reiterate it enough that the extra segments in your book, besides just the chapter, which you guys are going to see written out, the example, like in this case, the rolling reviews or a case study. When you look at the different elements that you can go online and look at, guys, really, really go look at this. They will bring it all to life. It's not just theory. Then you can actually see real world results, real world examples. So one thing you touch on as well is the 4 steps of your marketing plan. This is really key. You really can't put together a marketing plan until you have the basic understanding of who, what, where, how you're going to market. So again, step 1, conducting your market research. That is incredibly important as you go out to see what does your market have, where do your strengths lie, where do your weaknesses keep you back, what's your competitors look like. And we'll talk about a number of different issues, different concepts. The one I like, they call it strength and weakness analysis. We always call it a SWOT analysis, right? Strengths, weaknesses, advantage, and threats. And you can do that on your own hotel and divide up in these categories. You can do it on your competition. You can do it in your market. And that's going to allow you kind of shape the picture of the market you're working in. And that way you'll be able to decide how indeed you're going to step forward and attack that market. Again, which is step 2, selecting target markets and positioning the property. So again, I look at the market. For instance, again, I was at the Crowne Plaza downtown for the better part of 10 years. We are a full service hotel in the heart of downtown. We're about 3 blocks away from the circle where a lot of your bigger buildings were. And so when we looked at the market, we said, okay, there's a huge transient market in Indianapolis. However, where our location is, the fact that we have all this ballroom space that lends us to be stronger in the group side of things. We also had trains that ran behind our hotel. So that obviously is something that long-term stays probably aren't going to like. So again, we began to look at and say, where do we fit best in this market? And what we decided was we were more of a group sales and catering sales hotel. It fit our strengths. It tapped into a strength of the market because, again, with the convention center and what we bring in here in Indianapolis, that was another strength of the market. So we realized that we played very well there. And so that's kind of how we began to position ourselves. Establishing objectives and action plans. Obviously, once you know kind of what you're going to attack and how you're going to attack it, it's what do you want. I'm sorry, I'm back up. You know what you want to attack. Your action plans and your objectives are how you're going to attack it. What are we going to do? Is it going to be phone calls? Is it going to be in person? Are we joining associations? Are we doing tons of tours? Are we trying to work through third parties? Are we trying to work through corporate? Where are allies in the market and how do we tap into that? And then lastly, reviewing and monitoring the marketing plan. This is really important, guys, because you're looking a year out, 2 years out, 3 years out. Things do change. Most of you are trying to remember 2008 when the market kind of crashed, and the hospitality industry especially went from an incredible high to an incredible low almost overnight. It was amazing how fast that all happened. And so what had been kind of a boom for the industry where lots of business was coming in, it became to dry out very quick and become a desert where sales managers really had to go out and find the business. That was a different strategy. We had to reshape how we did things. We had to figure out what areas of the market we're still having meetings, or association, corporate backed way off, or social functions. So our plan might have been great before the crash, but after the crash, we had to reevaluate what that plan was and then move forward from there. So, bear with me, guys. So again, going through the different parts, again, the chapter is going to hit on how you go about doing those strategic analysis for your market, for your competition, for yourself. Again, putting your action plan together, and that review element, guys, is ginormous. I mean, it really, really is, because things change so quickly. And it could be that, the convention center gets a new wing. Well, now all of a sudden, the city can bring in more associations. We may not have been focusing on the association market, and now we need to, because again, there's a bigger piece of the pie in our market that we want to go after. A new corporation comes into town, and with it brings other corporations. Do we rethink how our corporate market is? New office building pops up next to our hotel. Now transient might become more important. So we begin to look at things differently. So again, make sure you guys are using the example or doing the online applications, because again, they're just, I can't begin to tell you how much that brings to life. So bear with me. All right, on to chapter 3, the organizing of the convention sales. This is really neat, guys, and the book does a good job with this, and I will pick on the author here later on in this chapter, but they lay out what a sales office looks like. And this is vitally important for you guys as you go in and take your first jobs, to understand what the roles are. And not only as you go in as an employee, or as your first-time employee, but when you take over a sales team, knowing what everyone's responsibilities are and how you use each area's strength to then strengthen the entire team. So one thing we used to always laugh about, and it's incredibly true, and I love using a quote from Hoosiers for this. There's a scene with Gene Hackman throwing a basketball to the guys. They were kind of picking on one of the smaller guys, and they started laughing, and he stops them and he goes, let's get something straight here real quick. It's team, team, team. No one piece more important than the other. And that is so key when you're part of a hotel. There is no position more important than the other. People like to think the GM is the most important person in the hotel. Well, I got news for you. If your front desk is awful, it doesn't matter how good your GM is. It did not matter how good of a sales manager I was. If my, we call them crowd meeting directors, but if our client services team was horrible, I was never going to get a client back. If rooms aren't clean, groups won't stay again. So again, one definitely touches the other, and everybody is vitally important. It is one huge machine with a lot of very important pieces. So again, as you guys go through this, the sales office does a great job of laying out what the responsibilities are, what the pecking order typically is in a hotel. And you guys really read these very closely, because I would love for all of you, and obviously this is not something I do in my class, but you guys ought to start kind of planning a career path. What does it look like when I graduate? Where do I want to go? What are my options? What's that first line? 3 years out, where do I want to be next? 5 years out, where do I want to be next? What do I need to go from my first job to my year 3 job to my year 5 job? The explanations in the book here are going to tell you what each position is responsible for, and that's going to allow you to know what skill sets you need to have to continue to make those climbs, okay? So again, real world application to what you're seeing in the book. But one thing I do want to point out, there talks about, well, okay, one other thing, it talks about managing a sales team. And guys, this is very key, and this comes with experience. You can take classes on this. There's some absolutely fantastic trainings on how to be a good leader, how to be a good manager. I'll give you my biggest clue. It's really all about how you communicate with your team, how you take their communications, and how you build ideas around, a lot of times, group thought. Now, you're going to have your own ideas, and again, if you go in as a leader, the buck's always going to stop with you. But I've always found that the best leaders listen to their teams, again, challenge them on their thought process. If there is something that doesn't seem like it fits with your mindset, then we have open discussion. I used to always joke that I never wanted to be the smartest person in the room. I constantly wanted people to challenge me in how I thought and how I did things, because I wanted to make sure I was doing them right. So fairly confident that I do things the way we should. Been doing these kind of things for the last 23 years, but I love to bring in brand new salespeople and say, give me feedback. Let me know how you would attack this, and let me know why. And I'll look at it and say, okay, with my 20 some odd years of experience, I don't know that would work. And here's why. And I give feedback and let it go back and forth. Or I might go, I've never thought about it that way. Give me more information on that. That gets you buy-in to the team. Okay. In the end, you as a decision maker are going to have to make the decision. But if you want a cohesive team, it's listening, it's communication, it's buy-in, and making everybody feel like they've had part of the decision-making process. So the other thing I want to touch on in here real quick is they will talk about a sales records and filing system. And I love the author actually kept this in the book. He actually shows you what the sample account files look like when everything was done by paper. Now, you may still come across these in smaller hotels, but I would be shocked if any of the hotels you guys go to work for have a paper filing system. Most of you guys, I think, probably have taken Delphi classes by now. Other CRM systems where you keep all the data on your clients. So I love the fact that he still touches on this, but then he does go to the computerized version of these databases, and that's going to be key. And guys, I can't push it enough. Take those classes and take them seriously when you go through Delphi training, or any of the CRM systems they have you guys do. It is used as a Bible. We used to have a rule at the Crown Plaza that if it didn't happen in Delphi, it didn't happen. This comes in to be hugely important if you're on a sales team and there are multiple sales reps and someone says, well, I talked to such and such, so it should be my piece of business. And someone else says, no, I did. And look in the system, their event's in there and yours isn't, well, then it goes to them. So again, these kind of systems are fantastic for keeping a very chaotic environment sometimes very organized. And so again, I stress to all of you, if you have the opportunity to get certified, do it. If you have the opportunity to do internships, you can work the front desk. Fantastic way to learn these systems inside and out. But again, it is incredibly key to any sales manager, any client services manager, to have an understanding of that operating system. So that kind of wraps up chapter 3. Again, I'm giving you just the 30,000 square foot view. But one thing they do talk about at the very end there is a virtual office. And that's really important to your guys' generation right now, because things are changing drastically from even 15 years ago when I first had gotten into the industry. You're seeing a lot more mobility. Again, I got to see this at the very end of my career. At the beginning of my career, I was in the office. I had an office of my own. I'm on the phone. I'm on the computer. I might go out and see clients. I entertain at the hotel. When I became a regional director of sales, I was on the road. My office was my book bag. My computer was in there. All my files are in there. Everything's on thumb drives. I've got more wires and stuff. I can do presentations. I can do Zoom meetings like this. I could be anywhere in the United States and get all my work done at the same time, keep track of all my sales team. So again, don't go into this thinking that you will have a four-walled office and a team around you. You might work virtually. I know regional directors of sales who have parts of the country. So they could be the East, Northwest, South, what have you. They could have many as 30, 40, 50, 100 sales managers that they have this going on as opposed to actually being there. So again, you guys probably more than ever will have the opportunity to use this unbelievable technology that is now out there. The world is a very, very small place, obviously. And so it's going to change what options, opportunities you guys have. So That's it real quick. I'll get those discussions graded this week. Make sure you look to see what is coming up due. I think we have another discussion if I recall, and I think your first assignment is due. So once again, any questions, feel free to email me, feel free to call me. For those of you on spring break, have a fantastic time, and we will see you guys next week.